In the quiet spaces of life where the noise of ambition fades and the mind begins to listen, there arises a simple question. Why does wealth, though chased with great effort, so often slip through the fingers like sand? Many gather knowledge, many work tirelessly, many plan with precision, yet the result remains the same, a cycle of gain and loss, of hope and disappointment. This is not because wealth is elusive, but because the mind that seeks it is unsettled. A strategy built only on action is like a cart with one wheel. It moves, but not far and never in balance. You may earn with intensity, save with discipline, and invest with courage, yet still feel that something is missing. That something is not found in markets, nor in numbers, nor in the opinions of others. It is found in alignment. The way of the 333 is not merely a method of handling money, it is a method of understanding life. It teaches that wealth is not created in a single moment, but through harmony between time, intention, and awareness. The first three belongs to what you earn. When wealth comes to you, observe how it arrives and how it leaves. Divide not just your income, but your attention. One part for your needs, one part for your future, and one part for growth beyond yourself. Without this balance, money becomes a master rather than a servant. When you consume without thought, you bind yourself. When you save without purpose, you create fear. When you give nothing, you close the flow that sustains abundance. The second three belongs to your time. Each day offers you hours, yet most are spent unconsciously. Give 3 moments in your day to awareness of your path: morning, midday, and night. In the morning, set intention, for a day without direction is like a boat without a rudder. At midday, reflect, for even the straightest path requires correction. At night, review, for without reflection, mistakes become habits. Wealth grows not from effort alone, but from corrected effort. The third three belongs to your mind. There are 3 forces that shape your financial life: desire, fear, and clarity. Desire pushes you forward, but unchecked, it leads to endless wanting. Fear protects you, but uncontrolled, it prevents wise risk. Clarity is the balance between them, the still point from which wise decisions emerge. If your strategy ignores the mind, it will collapse under the weight of emotion. Many fail not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack harmony. They chase quick gains while neglecting steady growth. They follow others while ignoring their own understanding. They act in haste and regret in stillness. This is why their strategies fail, not due to lack of effort, but due to lack of awareness. Consider the river. It does not force its way through the mountain in a single day. It flows steadily, adjusting its course, shaping the land over time. Wealth is like this river. It grows through patience, through consistency, through quiet discipline that is rarely seen but always felt. When you follow the way of 333, you begin to see that money is not the goal, but the reflection. It reflects your habits, your discipline, your fears, and your understanding. Change these and wealth will follow naturally, like a shadow follows the body. Do not seek wealth as something separate from yourself. Instead, cultivate balance within and let your actions mirror that balance. In this way, your strategy will no longer fail because it will no longer be built on fragments. It will be whole, steady, and aligned with the deeper rhythm of life. Wealth fails when it is pursued without inner balance, awareness, and alignment between actions and mindset. Wealth often appears to be a matter of effort, strategy, and opportunity. Yet many who possess all 3 still find themselves trapped in cycles of financial instability. This is because the root of success or failure with money does not lie solely in external actions, but in the inner state from which those actions arise. When the mind is restless, driven by comparison, fear, or unchecked desire, even the most well-crafted financial plans begin to weaken. A person may earn more, yet feel poorer, may save more, yet feel insecure, may invest boldly, yet act impulsively. Without inner balance, every decision becomes reactive rather than intentional. When awareness is absent, money is often used as a tool to fill emotional gaps rather than to build lasting stability. One spends not out of need, but out of impulse. One saves not out of clarity, but out of fear of loss. One chases opportunities not with wisdom, but with urgency born from comparison with others. In such a state, money loses its purpose and becomes a source of tension. It no longer serves life, it begins to control it. This is why many strategies fail. They are built on unstable ground, shaped by emotions that shift like the wind. Alignment is the missing piece. When actions, thoughts, and intentions move in different directions, energy is scattered. A person may say they want financial freedom, yet their habits reflect short-term gratification. They may seek growth, yet avoid learning or discipline. This contradiction creates resistance, and over time it erodes progress. True alignment means that what you think, what you feel, and what you do all support the same direction. In such a state, decisions become clearer, and effort becomes more effective. Inner balance does not mean the absence of desire or fear, but the understanding of them. Desire can inspire growth when guided, but it becomes destructive when it is endless. Fear can protect from reckless decisions, but it becomes limiting when it prevents all risk. Awareness allows you to observe these forces without being controlled by them. It creates a space between impulse and action where wiser choices can be made. In that space, financial decisions are no longer reactions, but reflections of understanding. When awareness deepens, even simple actions gain power. Spending becomes intentional, saving becomes purposeful, and investing becomes thoughtful. There is less noise, less urgency, and more clarity. Progress may appear slower from the outside, but it is steady and lasting. Like a tree that grows strong roots before reaching upward, this approach builds a foundation that can support true and lasting wealth. In the end, the failure of a money strategy is rarely about the strategy itself. It is about the state of the person using it. When the mind is unbalanced, no system can succeed for long. But when there is clarity, discipline, and alignment within, even simple methods can lead to meaningful and lasting results. The 3-3-3 rule teaches balanced money flow: spend wisely, save intentionally, and grow or give to maintain abundance. When a person begins to observe the flow of wealth closely, a deeper truth slowly reveals itself. Money does not behave randomly, but it responds to patterns of thought and behavior. Most people search for complex systems, secret formulas, or perfect timing in markets, believing that financial success is hidden somewhere outside of them. Yet, the real foundation of lasting wealth is not complexity, it is consistency guided by awareness. Without this, even the most advanced financial strategy becomes fragile. At the center of this understanding is the idea that time, attention, and energy are the true currencies behind money. A person who scatters their attention across too many desires weakens their ability to build anything stable. When attention is divided, decisions become inconsistent. One moment there is discipline, the next moment there is indulgence. One day there is planning, another day there is neglect. This inconsistency creates invisible leaks in financial life, where opportunities are lost not through dramatic failure but through small, repeated distractions. True financial growth requires rhythm. Just as nature operates in cycles, day and night, seasons of growth and rest, wealth also follows a rhythm that must be respected. When a person ignores this rhythm and tries to force rapid results, imbalance occurs. They may achieve short-term gains, but those gains often collapse because they were not supported by steady structure. A stable financial life is built slowly through repeated actions that are small but aligned. Within this rhythm, reflection plays a powerful role. Without reflection, a person repeats the same mistakes without awareness. They may not notice why money disappears quickly, why savings never grow, or why investments feel uncertain. Reflection creates clarity. It allows one to pause and observe patterns: where money enters, where it exits, and how decisions are being made. This simple act of observing transforms unconscious behavior into conscious direction. Over time, this awareness reduces waste and strengthens control. Another important aspect is the relationship between intention and emotion. Many financial decisions are made under emotional pressure: fear of missing out, fear of loss, excitement of quick gain, or desire to match others. These emotions are natural, but when they guide decisions, imbalance follows. Wealth built on emotional decisions rarely lasts because emotions change quickly. What feels urgent today may feel unimportant tomorrow. Therefore, decisions must come from clarity rather than emotional reaction. Clarity does not remove emotion, it simply prevents emotion from becoming the driver. When clarity becomes stronger, simplicity begins to appear in financial life. There is less need to chase every opportunity and less tendency to react to every change. Instead, focus narrows. A person begins to understand what is necessary, what is excessive, and what is aligned with long-term stability. This reduction of noise is not limitation, it is strength. It allows energy to be directed where it truly matters. Over time, this way of living transforms the relationship with money. It is no longer seen as something unpredictable or separate, but as a reflection of inner discipline. The flow of wealth begins to mirror the flow of attention and intention. When these are scattered, money becomes unstable. When these are focused, money becomes more consistent. Ultimately, financial failure is rarely the result of a single mistake. It is the accumulation of small imbalances repeated over time. The correction, therefore, is not in chasing better luck or faster systems, but in returning to awareness, rhythm, and clarity. From this foundation, even simple strategies become powerful because they are supported by a mind that is steady and aligned. Daily reflection, morning intention, midday correction, night review is essential for improving financial decisions. When examining the deeper nature of wealth, one begins to realize that money is not merely an external object to be collected, but a reflection of internal order. A person's financial reality often mirrors their mental environment. If the mind is scattered, distracted, or driven by constant urgency, financial outcomes tend to follow the same pattern of instability. But when the mind becomes steady, observant, and disciplined, a different pattern emerges, one of gradual, sustainable growth. Most financial struggle does not come from a lack of opportunity, but from a lack of structure within behavior. People often know what they should do: save regularly, avoid unnecessary spending, invest patiently, and plan ahead. Yet knowing is not the same as doing. The gap between knowledge and action is where inconsistency lives. This gap is often filled by impulse. A moment of desire overrides a long-term plan. A moment of fear interrupts a well-thought decision. Over time, these small interruptions weaken the entire structure of financial progress. To understand wealth deeply, one must observe the role of repetition. Every financial outcome is built upon repeated choices. A single good decision does not create stability, just as a single mistake does not create failure. It is repetition that shapes direction. When wise decisions are repeated even in small amounts, they accumulate strength. When careless decisions are repeated even if they seem minor, they slowly create imbalance. In this way, wealth is not a result of occasional brilliance, but of consistent behavior aligned with purpose. There is also a subtle but powerful influence of comparison. When a person constantly measures their financial progress against others, their internal balance weakens. Comparison creates urgency, and urgency often leads to rushed decisions. Instead of following a personal rhythm, one begins to imitate the pace of others. But financial life is deeply personal. What works for one person may not suit another. When decisions are guided by external comparison rather than internal clarity, stability becomes difficult to maintain. Clarity, therefore, becomes the most valuable asset. Clarity allows a person to see beyond immediate emotions and recognize long-term consequences. It brings stillness into decision-making. With clarity, spending becomes intentional rather than impulsive. Saving becomes structured rather than fearful. And investing becomes patient rather than reactive. This shift may seem subtle, but its long-term impact is profound. It transforms financial behavior from scattered reactions into a coherent system. Another important dimension is patience. In a world that often values speed, patience feels like delay. Yet in the context of wealth, patience is not delay, it is protection. It protects decisions from emotional distortion. It allows time for understanding to mature. Many financial mistakes occur not because the idea was wrong, but because it was acted upon too quickly. When patience is present, decisions gain depth and outcomes become more stable. As awareness deepens, a person begins to see that financial success is not a distant goal but an ongoing process of alignment. It is not something that happens suddenly, but something that unfolds through continuous refinement of habits and thoughts. There is less need for dramatic change and more emphasis on steady correction. Over time, this creates a life where money is not a source of constant tension but a natural extension of disciplined living. In the end, wealth is shaped less by external conditions and more by internal order. When the mind is aligned, actions become aligned. And when actions are aligned over time, financial stability becomes not just possible but inevitable. True financial success depends on mastering the mind, balancing desire, fear, and clarity. When one looks deeply into the nature of financial struggle, it becomes clear that most instability does not come from a lack of resources but from a lack of continuity. People often begin with enthusiasm, strong intentions, and clear goals, but over time that initial energy weakens. Habits become inconsistent, focus drifts, and small distractions slowly take priority over long-term direction. This gradual loss of continuity is one of the quietest reasons why financial plans fail. Wealth requires not only knowledge but endurance. Many understand what should be done, yet very few maintain it long enough for results to appear. The mind naturally seeks quick outcomes, and when results are not immediate, doubt begins to grow. This doubt then influences decisions, leading to changes in strategy that are not always necessary. Instead of allowing a process to mature, many abandon it too early and move to something new, repeating the same cycle again and again. In this way, effort is spent, but progress remains shallow. Another hidden factor is fragmentation of attention. Modern life constantly pulls awareness in different directions: new ideas, opportunities, comparisons, and distractions. When attention is divided, financial discipline weakens. A person may plan carefully in one moment and forget that plan in the next. This fragmentation prevents deep focus, and without deep focus, it becomes difficult to build stable systems. Wealth grows best in an environment where attention is protected and directed with purpose. There is also the issue of emotional interference. Financial decisions are often influenced by emotional states that shift throughout the day. In moments of excitement, risk appears smaller than it is. In moments of fear, opportunity appears more dangerous than it truly is. When emotions are allowed to lead decisions, consistency disappears. Over time, this creates a pattern where actions contradict each other, and financial direction becomes unclear. Stability requires that emotions be observed but not obeyed blindly. Consistency, however, is not a rigid force. It is a quiet discipline that continues even when motivation fades. It is the ability to maintain small, meaningful actions without needing constant excitement. Many underestimate the power of small actions because they appear insignificant in isolation. But when repeated over time, these actions become the foundation of financial structure. Savings grow not through sudden effort, but through repeated discipline. Learning compounds in the same way. Investments mature through patience, not urgency. Another important element is acceptance of gradual growth. Many people expect financial progress to move in sudden leaps, and when it does not, frustration arises. This expectation of rapid change creates unnecessary pressure, which often leads to impulsive decisions. But real financial development is often quiet and slow. It does not announce itself loudly. Instead, it builds gradually through unseen consistency. When a person accepts this natural pace, they stop forcing outcomes and start supporting processes. Over time, those who remain consistent begin to notice a shift. Financial decisions become less reactive and more intentional. There is less confusion about what to do next because habits begin to form a stable structure. Even during uncertain times, this structure provides direction. Instead of being influenced by every external change, decisions are guided by internal stability. In the end, financial success is less about intensity and more about endurance. It is shaped by the ability to continue when enthusiasm fades, to remain focused when distractions increase, and to stay steady when results are not immediately visible. When continuity is preserved, even ordinary actions become powerful, and over time, they naturally lead to lasting stability and growth. Wealth is not just earned, it is a reflection of consistent habits, patience, and disciplined awareness over time. When one reaches the deeper understanding of wealth, it becomes clear that money itself is not the true source of stability or insecurity. Instead, it is the relationship a person develops with money that determines their financial reality. This relationship is shaped by habits, thoughts, reactions, and the level of awareness present in daily life. When awareness is low, money feels unpredictable and unstable. When awareness is high, money becomes more manageable and its flow more understandable. A major reason financial systems fail is because they are built without emotional stability. People often design plans during moments of motivation, confidence, or urgency. However, motivation is temporary. It rises and falls like waves. When motivation declines, the system built on it begins to weaken. This is why many financial plans start strongly but fail to continue. True stability requires something deeper than motivation. It requires discipline that does not depend on emotional states. Discipline in financial life is not about strict control or harsh restriction. It is about awareness applied consistently. It means observing spending before it happens, recognizing emotional triggers before acting on them, and maintaining direction even when there is no immediate reward. This form of discipline is quiet and steady. It does not seek attention, yet it forms the backbone of long-term financial growth. Another important aspect is the influence of habit loops. Every financial action, whether small or large, is part of a repeating pattern. A person who repeatedly spends without reflection strengthens a habit of impulsive consumption. A person who repeatedly saves, even in small amounts, strengthens a habit of accumulation. Over time, these habits become automatic, shaping financial reality without conscious effort. This is why awareness at the beginning of any habit is crucial, because what starts small eventually becomes a dominant pattern. Fear also plays a significant role in financial behavior. Fear of loss can prevent necessary risks, while fear of missing out can push unnecessary risks. Both forms of fear distort judgment. When fear is present, decisions are no longer based on clarity but on reaction. Over time, this leads to inconsistency, where actions swing between hesitation and overaction. Stability requires recognizing fear without allowing it to control direction. At the same time, desire must also be understood. Desire is not inherently negative, it can be a source of motivation and progress. However, when desire becomes uncontrolled, it leads to constant dissatisfaction. A person begins to chase more without appreciating what is already present. This endless pursuit creates financial pressure because no amount ever feels enough. Balanced desire, guided by awareness, supports growth without creating instability. Clarity emerges when both fear and desire are observed without attachment. In that space, decisions become calmer and more deliberate. A person begins to act from understanding rather than reaction. Spending becomes more meaningful, saving becomes more structured, and investing becomes more thoughtful. This shift may seem subtle, but it changes the entire foundation of financial behavior. Over time, those who cultivate awareness begin to notice that wealth is not something that must be forced or chased aggressively. Instead, it becomes something that responds naturally to stable habits and clear intention. There is less struggle, less confusion, and less emotional turbulence. Financial life becomes more predictable, not because external conditions change, but because internal responses become more balanced. In the end, true financial strength is not measured by how quickly money is gained, but by how steadily it is maintained. When awareness, discipline, and clarity work together, money stops being a source of anxiety and becomes a reflection of inner order.